everyone, and welcome to an episode of Wisdom Chat. My guest today is Manu Pelletero. Have I pronounced your surname correctly, Manu?
Yes, that's correct. Thank you, Phil, for having me.
Brilliant. Well, welcome, Manu, to Wisdom Chat podcast. Really appreciate you giving up your time. Before we get into the meat of what we want to talk about, I noticed that you, as I've said earlier, you've got a great love of the sea, and I'm curious in terms of what do you do? What is your involvement? You've got a lovely picture up on LinkedIn profile with you behind the wheel of a yacht. It appears that you're in a race. Tell me a little bit about your nautical experiences.
I mean, I've been on the sea since I can remember. I grew up in a small fisherman village. My granddad has a small boat. My dad has a small boat. So yeah, I've been in boats and sailing, fishing all my life. Anything on the sea I enjoy, like from swimming, rowing, canoeing, windsurfing, kayaking, sailing, kite surfing, dinghy sailing, dinghy racing. I spent all my childhood on the top of a boat. So yeah, I spent so many hours on the boat.
Yeah, so any opportunity you get to the sea. I mean, I love the sea, perhaps in a slightly different way to yourself, in so much as I've not had that sort of experience in terms of growing up. I grew up in a landlocked area of England, and so going to the sea was quite an adventure. But it was interesting. I had a conversation with one of my daughters recently, and she made a comment about when she looks out to sea, and she sees this vast nothingness. She sees it from a point of emptiness. And I said, that's really interesting, because when I look out at the sea, and I love being by the sea, I see adventure and opportunity. And you know, that photo that you've put up on your profile tells me you're a man of adventure.
I mean, I wouldn't consider myself a man of adventure, to be honest, but you know, I like to travel. That picture actually is crossing Atlantic. So that picture is in the middle of Atlantic. And it's way more boring and way more dull than that it sounds.
Well, yeah, because the Atlantic can be quite mixed, can't it? In terms of, it can be very sort of tranquil in some respects, but it can also be quite stormy. It's a real mixture, really. What was your experience like?
If you do the things right, it should be boring. If you do the things right. If you do the things wrong, it might be exciting. But it's because you have done something wrong, you know, because you have took the wrong route, or you might have left the wrong days, or with the wrong weather forecast. But you know, if you do things well, it's pretty boring. I mean, you have your day-to-day routines, your watches, but you know, besides that, it's a lot of reading, really.
Yeah, I mean, just listening to what you're saying, it strikes me that there's a lot of planning and preparation that goes into a journey like that before you even begin. Am I right in saying that? I mean, you talk about the weather and leaving at the right time. You've really got to know your weather, haven't you? And
I mean, it's everything. You need to plan the crew. Crew management is super important. That's where things can really break. Yeah. Food, water, weather, equipment, engine, petrol. Yeah. So yeah, there are many things to look at. So that's why you need cheat sheets. Otherwise, you always forget something.
I won't say too much of my own experience. In terms of my preparation for going out on the sea, it's usually, have I got enough air in the boat, as in the dinghy? That's been the sum total of mine. And I suppose the next biggest thing would be, you know, crossing somewhere over a ferry. I remember crossing between the North and South Island of New Zealand. And one of the things I was really looking forward to was the sea life, and hoping that I would see, you know, some activity in the sea. And talk about boring. It was extremely boring, literally nothing, and it was just boring sailing all the way. So fortunately, it was a long journey. But yeah, I just find what people do, their interests other than what they do as in terms of work, quite fascinating. It says something of a person, and so thank you for sharing that, Manu.
You shared that it has a spotted minefield.
Yeah. But just taking that theme of planning and preparation, I mean, looking at your sort of journey in your career and the organizations you've looked for, there's been a lot of, so I suppose, really build up toward you co-founding Invest. Tell us a bit about that journey and tell us a bit about Invest.
To be honest, although, I work across a couple of sectors, investment banking, consultancy, software, and now fintech. But I've been always doing the same thing, financial modeling. So everything has been about financial modeling. Yes, building financial models for different purposes, whether it's for price and stock, to do a merger and acquisition, to do a strategic asset allocation for insurance companies, to price different financial vehicles, whatever it was, and now benefits. It's always a financial model. So that's the main bone of my professional career.
So you bring a lot of experience around sort of the financial area and financial modeling to what you do now. I know it says on your profile that Invest is a software platform for financial inclusion that offers data-driven solutions for benefits and debt and the debt advice industry. I know you now in that sort of 8 years of history, or more than 8 years of history of Invest, you're now working with some quite big organizations nationally. Tell us a little bit about the platform and what was the motivation for creating this platform in the first place?
Well, the origins of the business were a bit different. So we set up the business as a consultancy company. So we were doing financial modeling for different banks, insurers, and asset managers in Scotland. And then on the side, we also did a bit of pro bono work or heavily discounted work for CDFIs, welfare advisors in Scotland. Because we like the drive for having our tools being used, and sometimes big banks move a bit slowly. So we also love to work with these companies and also to create a bit of positive impact. And when we were chatting with them, they were sharing. So the initial projects were maybe a chatbot to automate their customer support or some system integrations to help them to work more efficiently. Nothing specific, not a specific product. But in those conversations we had with them, they were mentioning how hard it was for their advisors to calculate the amount of benefits people were eligible for. And especially at this time was when Scotland, Social Security Scotland was taking more and more benefits. So the tools available at that time, they cover UK-wide benefits, but did not cover Scottish devolved benefits. So yeah, we built a small little tool on the side to allow advisors to calculate Scottish devolved benefits, and what started as a side project, it became our main business, and we just been fully focused on this tool since 2020.
So the in terms of what it covers now, it's more wider than Scotland. It's it's the whole of the UK, isn't it? So and I've noticed you're working with some big named organizations in the both in terms of the charitable sector, the money advice, debt advice sector, and different sort of financial organizations. So it's quite widespread. one of the things, I remember a conversation you and I had a while ago. One of the things that you said to me was the fact that there are so many people who don't think they're entitled to benefits. And one of the things that you were wanting to encourage was for people to be willing to use it, to check it out, even if they think they're not entitled to anything, but to check it out anyway. I mean, what's the sort of figure now, roughly, that of sort of unclaimed benefits are we talking about? And I know it became a bit of a frustration in terms of, you know, people who are entitled, but are just not claiming what they're entitled to.
Yeah, absolutely. So the most updated figure actually was updated this week. Is 19 billion across the UK.
Right.
And yeah,
that was not 19 billion, did you say?
Yes, 19 billion, 19.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's unclaimed benefits.
That's unclaimed, yeah. People not getting that amount, and it's especially worrying, given you know there are millions and billions of people really struggling now with the cost of living. So yeah. So definitely, it's good that you know all the stakeholders are making or trying to work together to make sure that these people get the benefits they're eligible for, so they can deal a bit better with the cost of living.
Yeah, and I know there's probably all sorts of reasons why people won't look at things like this. So, say for example, they're not necessarily in debt, but they may be worried about their finances. So even for people like that, you would still encourage them to at least check it out.
Yeah, yes, it's a key difference I feel here, because it's very hard to encourage someone that believes they don't have to check it, right? Because you will need to really push them to do something they don't believe they have to do, right? So for many people, one of the main reasons why people don't claim their benefits is because they believe they're not eligible for them. So it's very hard to convince someone to check their benefits, even they think they're not eligible for it.
Right.
So the way we come up around this problem is by using past and existing data and to estimate the benefits they can get. And then we proactively nudge people about these benefits. And then when we proactively nudge them, then we are able to tell them a figure. Hey, we believe you can get £400 in additional benefits. Go and check. So this is a more powerful message than, hey, make sure you claim your benefits. Because why would I care? I don't have any benefits. I don't want to check them. But if we tell them, hey, we look at your data and we believe you can get £400 extra per month. They say, shit, it's my data. They look at my data. I can get all that money. Okay, I'm going to check. Yeah.
I think one of the things that I think is in our psyche as a culture in the UK is the difficulty in accepting charity. You know, I'm using that term because often that's how people think, that they think, oh, you know, this is like receiving charity, and no, you know, I'm okay. I can deal with this on my own. And yet we're actually not talking about that. We're talking about what people are entitled to. And I think even the older generation, when I speak with them, it's they've always thought about, I've got to work for this, and not necessarily thought of the fact that I've put so much into this country, I am actually entitled to something back. And in many cases, they are, but they're not claiming it because either they don't know about it, or it's a very difficult concept to get over in their mind. What sort of success are you having in targeting, say, that group of people and encouraging that group of people to engage with the platform and engage with yourselves or with your clients?
Yeah, no, I agree. There's still a lot of stigma attached to benefits, right? But benefits don't always come on the traditional welfare support, where you have to go to the job center to sign and fill the forms, right? Everybody likes all good discounts, right? So most of the benefits are actually discounts. For example, you have social tariffs, which are discounts from your water, energy, telecom companies. Who don't like a discount for them? Others, like really valuable as well, is free childcare. You know, who doesn't like a discount of a couple of thousands towards the education of your children? Also, who doesn't like a discount on your taxes? You know, a big discount is council tax reduction. So many of the benefits are not just, you know, a welfare payment. Many of the benefits are actually a discount on your existing expenses. And people do love discounts, but you need to make them aware of these discounts. If people don't know about them, of course, they won't apply for them. But if we make them aware, so maybe there's a chance for them to won't apply. And for us, the most important factor is bringing benefits as an additional feature within their existing day-to-day financial management, right? Because benefits is one more aspect of their day-to-day finances. You have their salary, they have their day-to-day expenses, maybe they have the credit cards, they have, you know, the loyalty points, and benefits is one more feature within this wider ecosystem of day-to-day financial management. So that's the key. To normalize more benefits is bringing to the same place where they are managing their finances. And it's we're seeing higher engagement is on those systems that have integrated our benefit calculator as an additional feature within their existing propositions. So a fantastic example is WageStream, that add our benefit calculator as part of their app that helps workers across the UK to get salary advance and better manage their finances, or also Money Hub as well, which is a personal financial management platform that uses open banking to help people manage their personal finances. So those are great examples of how they bring features in a wider financial management, financial planning proposition.
So that example that you gave with WageStream, very much in the workplace and employees. So WageStream works with employers to provide, I suppose, in a way, kind of benefits. It's sort of tackling that realm within the workplace, and in amongst that, obviously, the work that they do around sort of financial inclusion, financial well-being, and so on. But what about the sort of the everyday person in the street? Because I was thinking about what you just said about you know, getting that message across. So it's not just about benefits; it's also about discounts to your existing costs. And when I think back, I mean, I've got 3 daughters. They're grown up. They've now got their own children. So I've got soon to be 8 grandchildren. But when I think about what it was like when my children were small, that was the most expensive time. The time when we really needed the help and support more than any other time, in a sense. And in a way, you are talking about those people. So how do we reach those people, and how do we communicate the message to them?
In the same way, reaching to them in the existing tools, platforms they are using. For example, a Money Hub is not just for employers, so anyone can download Money Hub app and manage their finances with Money Hub. And we also work with NatWest. Of course, has a massive footprint across the UK. So NatWest customers can manage their personal finances and also use our benefit calculators through there. Money Helper as well. So Money Helper is a fantastic source of financial education. Has anything from day-to-day management to long-term financial planning, pensions, workplace. So having the benefit calculator there, again, as an additional feature. The benefit calculator, benefits is not just a thing that happens in isolation, right? It's not something that happens on its own. It's part of a wider financial planning proposition. So this is what we are campaigning, that we integrate the calculator into a wider financial proposition and helps people to manage benefits as one more aspect within their day-to-day lives.
So that's why in approaching the types of clients that you're approaching, you're actually reaching a wider audience. You're not just talking about employees in the workplace, you're talking about everyday people in the street, people who will use the banking services. So I suppose in many respects, it would be good to see more and more banks involved with yourselves and utilising that facility in their services. So again, you reach more and more people. I know, so for those who are not quite sure about Money Helper, just Google it. Money Helper is part of the Money and Pensions Service, which is a government arm that is supporting and overseeing the money and debt advice industry. So they've got a lot of resources, as you rightly said, Manu, great resources. I'd highly recommend them. But now they've got the Money Help, the Invest platform to do the sort of, you know, benefits checks and so on, and enabling people to really sort of improve the way they manage their finances. So, I mean, it's a great resource. I know you've been working in terms of reaching more and more, like, for example, councils, local government, and you know, you've had some success in the south of England, and we're wanting to see more and more success more broadly across the country with regards to working with local authorities. How's that going? You know, in terms of your conversations with people and potential doors opening.
Initially, the main sectors we focus on were lending, debt advice, and money management. So these sectors traditionally didn't offer welfare systems, welfare benefits, benefit calculators, but because of the cost of living, because several FCA regulations, because also water, utilities, and energy regulator asking companies to make sure the people apply for their benefits and social tariffs. So all these firms start to show more interest or more demand in the sector. But the sectors that traditionally offer welfare services were citizen advice bureaus and local councils and welfare charities. So this is the traditional sector for welfare advice. And this is something we are trying to engage now with them, because they have a lot of knowledge in the sector. They also manage a lot of local benefits, right? So every different council have a different set of configurations of benefits. And we are working with them to bring that on board on the calculator. So when you go to the calculator, we of course cover all national benefits. We also cover all regional benefits across Scotland, England, Wales, and Northern Ireland. We also cover social tariffs, and we want to bring also the knowledge of local authorities into the tool, so they can configure also their own benefits that are available in their councils. So based on your postcode, we can also display the benefits that are available for you in that council. So it's especially is bringing their knowledge into the tool. That's the most important aspect.
That's brilliant. I've got to ask you this, Manu. Looking to the future, what do you see?
That's a very, very hard question, to be honest. I feel we really go day to day. You know, we try to be agile and try to react to customer feedback, and you know, suggestions they make to us, opportunities that we also see, and we really plan. My longest time horizon is 3 months. That's as far as I can see.
That's technology for you, though, isn't it? I mean, it's rapidly progressing at a phenomenal rate, and I see lots more conversations about AI and Chat GPT, and even now different sort of technology groupings coming on and say, well, we've developed something that's even better than Chat GPT, and you can see the speed in which it's picking up and changing. But
yeah, it's impressive, actually. It's very, very impressive.
It is. But if you could if you could have anything, what would you like the future to look like? How, I mean, in terms of, I know we talked about, invest in the platform and how broad and wide you want its reach to be. But in terms of development, are there any things that you're seeing now out there in terms of work that you've done and the engagement that you've had that you're not involved in, or that you see particular needs in that might be sort of the next stage to development, without giving any trade secrets away or anything like that? But
No, I mean, the absolute truth, Phil, is that we love what we do in the welfare sector. So
yeah,
I don't see, because we always place ourselves as a specialized feature.
yeah,
So we don't see ourselves expanding to other services, right? So we don't see ourselves expanding to, let's say money management or pension planning or debt advice, because there are already great companies that do that service. And our core specialization is benefits. And we build the platform from the ground up so we can integrate with those companies that provide fantastic money management systems.
yeah,
So that's from, in UK level. Let's say that we would want to expand in the UK offering other services. So that's not an option, because the market is very well served and we enjoy being a specialized company.
yeah,
And then expanding to other geographies is also a pretty hard task, because the welfare system is different everywhere, right? So we will have to build a new engine if we decide to move to another countries. Of course, every now and then we toy with the idea. We said, okay, I'm originally from Spain. Okay, let's build the same system in Spain. We have some customers in Northern Ireland. Oh, let's do this in the Republic of Ireland. Let's do this in the Republic of Ireland. And we also have customers in the state. Let's do this in the state, in America, but it's a big undertaking. So I think for the time being, and I don't see ourselves neither changing focus or expanding our focus, and neither from a product point of view or a geographic point of view, because it's challenging.
yeah, yeah. I can imagine that. I mean, you've not only got the geographical borders, but you've got cultural, societal, and like you say, the welfare system is very different from one nation to another. I remember years ago, a charity I worked for that started to expand into other nations had to be very, very careful where they expanded to, and at the timing of that expansion, simply because principles of what they did could be transferable, but there were many aspects that they would have to respond differently to and operate differently to, because of the nature of the systems in those nations. So I do understand and appreciate that. Manu, it's been wonderful chatting with you. I do wish you all the best, and I wish Invest all the best. And there's more and more opportunities to engage with a wider sort of client base, both in terms of local government authorities, but also in terms of industry sectors, because at the end of the day, I suppose you're wanting to be able to reach as many people as possible. So I wish you all the best in that. If there's one thing that you'd like to say to our listeners as a sort of closing remark or an encouragement, what would you like to say to them?
So if you work in local authority, please reach out. That we would love to include your benefits, so your residents can find them out easily from the benefit calculator that I've been talking about. This is available in many leading financial companies like Money Helper and WageStream. So your residents will be much better off. Yeah,
brilliant. And in terms of reaching out to you, how could people get hold of you, Manu?
Very easy. Either go to our website, invest.ai, or sending me an email, manu@invest.ai.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate chatting with you and catching up with you again. And hopefully we'll catch up again in the not too distant future as well. Thank you, Manu.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure.